beverage license.
No comment on that one, Bill?
Is what?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting of September 26, 2011 to order. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
A second.
Bronson?
Aye.
Fire? Duval?
Aye.
Hoffman?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
5-0.
Okay, additions to the agenda. On number 13, housing incentive. We're still gathering some information on that. I'd like to postpone it to the next meeting. I do have some information I'll hand out to the council regarding some sales tax information. On number 12, Main Street, I'd like to change that to park equipment and move Main Street to the next, right above public comment. I've asked Richard Foster to come this evening in case there were any questions, and I know he has another meeting to go to here real soon, so I think that's it. Does the council have any more questions regarding Main Street? If not, I would entertain a motion to support them or not. I would encourage you to support them for another year. Obviously, it's up to the council.
I guess I do have a question. Is it, a possibility of us not doing the full 10,000 and doing a partial donation and benefit as much? Or, I realize more money's better, but is there some way we can do a partial thing, or?
In my opinion, no. We mentioned 31% of our budget are these funds. We're required by the state to have a $30,000 budget, and we're at 31.6. And we have to have an executive director at 20 hours a week requirement by the Department of Commerce.
We will have to have some money by.
Well, typically it would have been July.
And was that put in the budget?
It comes out of it's not marked Main Street, but it's, what is it, Jessica?
I know it's Fund 1, it's Department 18, I'm not sure the name of the line item exactly, it's something about public relations funds.
The money's there.
The money is there this year, the budget for next year on that line item is $18,000.
These budget things that I received quite some time ago, are these fairly accurate?
Yes, ma'am. We try to
Okay,
pay the state.
So the income for the last 5 years has been $185,000?
Total, you talking about?
Uh-huh.
That's in kind, donations, everything, yes.
Right. And then the expenses that I could see ran about $30,000 a year.
I can't attest.
So, well, that's,
I just know
so I
our
guess I'm
balance.
just wondering, when I asked you the other night, out of this 185,000, how much of this money has actually stayed right here in the community? Or how much of it, went to travel, that sort of thing?
I would say 5% on travel, because if we were required to send her to the national conference and then the symposium once a year and then quarterly trainings. we'll do our best with price line and everything else, try to cut expenses that way. I just know our balance right now is about $1,200.
Could I, do you know what in-kind is?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because that's where most of that $185,000 is in-kind donations. So the $30,000 is what we have to, to work in this community.
But don't you have to have a percentage higher of cash than you do in kind? I mean,
Yes,
okay, that's,
most definitely.
well, that's what I thought, so when she said most of it was
Well,
in kind, I was
That's over the
thinking,
5 years. You're figuring $185,000. A lot of that is in kind.
And did you find out about the website?
well, I asked about it, and one person went to the website and said it was up and working, so I personally did not. I thought about it as I walked in the door, so I forgot that.
I looked this morning.
And it's still down?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. I will get on that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I would entertain a vote, one way or the other.
I'll make a motion that we do not fund Main Street for next year.
I'll second it.
Bronson?
Aye.
Fire? Duval?
nay,
Hoffman?
Aye.
Lane?
nay.
3-2.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, public comments, Jody?
I'm going to sit if you don't mind.
That's fine.
There was a comment made at the last public meeting that has just been kind of irritating me for the last couple of weeks. I'm old and I don't like my junk. I have been brought up that if you have something for a year and you have not used it, donate it, give it away, sell it, do something with it, but utilize it. Don't store it away to rot and mold and rust. And when I first came to Stafford, I was, I might say, appalled at the houses and the buildings downtown that were used for storage of things that Grandma left when she passed away 50 years ago. The roof is now leaking, and so of course the boxes of clothing are all moldy and nasty. Those things could have been donated 50 years ago to a little theater group that could have used them for costumes. Instead, they sit there and they mold and they rot, and people hang on to them. Old junk cars and things like that. I guess I just come from a place where people don't store stuff like that. And it just surprised me when I saw it. It was like hillbilly heaven, you know. So I just didn't like the idea of someone saying that all of us old people like our junk, because there are a lot of us old people who don't like our junk. And we do appreciate Doug Brown having those dumpsters. I bought that house over on Minster Street, and I have to tell you, there's 3 bedrooms, a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen, and they were full of junk. And those dumpsters came in so handy. They were closed, and we could just load up the truck, and we got rid of all that junk that's been in there for I don't know how many years. And so I really appreciate that, Doug. I think that was very, very nice of you to do that. It should have been done probably 20 years ago, but you know how it goes. I would also like to thank Jerry McMillan for all of his service. I think he's done a wonderful job. Anything that I have seen here, and I started farmers market with You're Okay, and I have to tell you, the first week down there, my son wasn't thinking when he put up the little flags that we put up there, and he strung it across the sidewalk. And Jerry came down and he kneeled down next to me and he says, "We can't have that across the sidewalk." I said, "What?" Because I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I got to think, this lady was kind of walking around because she couldn't get through where the flag was. So he went up and took it down right away. But he was so kind about it. And I know that him and his crew have worked really, really hard. And Jerry, I'd like to express my appreciation. And that's about all I have to say.
I would like to add too that I really appreciate Doug and the dumpsters and the tires, as well as the community for using them. And it looks to me like they're continuing to use them. They seem to be going up pretty quick. I'd also like to thank, there's a number of individuals that have given money to help pay for these dumpsters. I thank you all.
To add to that, I agree with that, and appreciate the people that are utilizing them. The town has improved a lot in the last couple of months.
Yes.
What number are we on, dumpster number?
17's up there now, it'll probably be replaced probably tomorrow or the day after.
Moving on to department head reports, Jerry Mack.
In the last couple of weeks, my slurry seal crew finally finished up for this year's projects. Counting the streets, next year the city of Stafford should be able to complete the project, and we'll know more next year on what we can do with the brick. That's kind of a test plot that we got down, but we're going to have to do something with the brick. And pulling them up and relaying the brick is not working. It's not cost effective. It's one of the most expensive fixes for streets you can get. And hopefully the slurry will work to where we can at least get some of the worst brick streets taken care of, because I don't like driving down them either. We've been cleaning the streets, working on the plant. As you all know, we had a fire and an explosion at the plant. And I've been dealing with two different insurance companies on the plant. I've been trying to get a hold of the Hartford boiler, which is the one that carries the insurance on our generator and our motor. And I kind of got the runaround. Weekend before last, me and Sean was down at the plant for 3 hours with a gentleman from Hartford boiler. And he was taking pictures of the motor and quizzing me and Sean on the motor generation. And when we told him it was a dual fuel system, he didn't know what I was talking about. Didn't have a clue. So we explained to him what a dual fuel system was, and he still didn't have a clue. And when he left, we just pretty well spent 3 hours doing nothing. I finally got a hold of the gentleman from Hartford Boiler on the East Coast, and he said that he had sent the wrong guy out, that he did not have a clue what kind of motor we had. So I've been supposed to have another guy coming out. And Todd, after me and you talked, he called me right after we talked. He'll be out here October the 6th, and he's the guy that will tear the motor down and tell us what happened with motor number one and how much it's going to be to repair it or replace it. And I told him that we was kind of looking at doing an upgrade on our generation. There was a rumor going around town, and it's a rumor. The city of Stafford did not collect $1 million and spend it, and we're not shutting down our power plant. That's all rumor. And right now, that's all I've got to say.
After talking with Jerry, I talked to Don, and I was going to have Don call our insurance agent and lean on him just a bit anyway, so.
Microphone.
I'm going to have the city attorney call our insurance agent and jack him up just a little bit, see if we can't get this taken care of. So that's all, Mac. Doug?
In your packet, is the drawing on the court report. There's the correct one. She's going to start coming in doing these Tuesdays right after, well, she's just going to stay longer after the court's over. The one in your deal is just what was on the docket. So that day is one like that. You guys heard it, right? I've kind of extended my tire deal. The reason I've extended it is till I get the deal out at the airport figured out how many there is. Right now, I'm sitting at almost 600 tires in the tire pile here in town. I have a feeling roughly there's probably another couple hundred at the airport. So I think unless something's changed, because all the city guys are busy getting Oktoberfest stuff ready, unless something's changed tomorrow, it's not really busy. I think Mac's going to take a tractor out to the airport for me, or somebody is, and I'm going to start pulling the tire pile apart. I'm not going to get her to do it by hand because I don't like snakes. But I will guarantee you I'm probably going to run into one or two or a dozen in that tire pile. So that's the goal right now. I just need to kind of get it sorted out to find what sizes we have so I know what it's going to cost. And like we said earlier, we're on dumpster number 17. And like I said, it'll probably be replaced tomorrow because I had the city guys go over and pack it down today so we can get a little bit more in it. But we're averaging about one a week now. So that's not doing too bad. And I mean, they've got everything in them, so there's still a lot being cleaned up. I still haven't come up with a perfect plan for the cars in the future, so I'm definitely open up to suggestions. You know, I was tossing around an idea back here. It'd be nice maybe somebody had a big building, or we could build one and rent spots in it. Being close, you know, some of these people insist on maybe restoring these cars later on, but I don't know. That's just an idea that was thrown out, so I'm still pondering that idea, what we're going to do when the moratorium's over with, or whatever we're going to do there. So that's all I have right at the moment.
Thank you, Joe. Jessica? Okay, we'll move on to CMB license. Need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the CMB license for the gathering place.
Is there a second?
Bronson?
Aye.
Fire?
Aye.
Duval? Hoffman? Lane? 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, you might explain to the crowd, I just heard a lot of questions back here, what's a CMB license? I don't know if somebody wanted to elaborate what that is.
Beer.
Beer license.
Fill out the paperwork, Gil. Can have a cocktail hour.
That's for a new restaurant that's going here in town. She applied for a cereal malt beverage license. And we have to do an inspection and the council has to approve it, so.
Okay, moving on to the firefighter appointment. We need a motion to approve Bill Elliott to the fire department. Jerry, do you need to say anything?
We're just putting him on, we just, like the last one, we need a vote, and then you have to approve him, Bill Elliott,
Okay.
what we're shooting for.
You have to appoint him and then
And,
vote.
I would appoint Bill Elliott to the fire department.
all right.
And then you get-
Do you need a motion?
Yeah, you need a motion to approve his appointment.
Then I'll make a motion to approve Bill as a firefighter.
Bronson? Fire? Duval? Hoffman? Lane? 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Nita Volker.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I apologize, but I'm going to read parts of this because I have a lot that I'm putting out there to the council and to our community tonight. But to start with, I want to thank Jerry Mack for the 17-plus years of service to this community. I admire you, respect you, and love you very dearly. I would also like to take just a moment to thank our firefighters, EMS, Police Department, Mayor Taylor, the city ladies, and the city crews for the amazing job with our fire at the plant. We are so blessed with each and every one of you in these departments. It saddens me to see what this has come to with Mac's resignation. I don't know how we have let it get this far. Steve Moody wrote a wonderful article about Mac. He stated a public servant like Jerry should have concluded his career with a celebration, not a resignation. Most know that Jerry wasn't only the city manager, he was also a firefighter. And as the city manager, Jerry supervised other city workers, who too were firefighters. You can imagine the impact Jerry had on fire protection for both the city of Stafford and Stafford County. My appreciation goes deeper than the average citizen. Jerry Mack is a hero in my eyes, and a hero deserves a celebration. That moved me to tears, but what moved me even more tears was what his daughter, 17-year-old daughter, had to say. Tori says, "My dad and I have been very close my whole life, and I, in fact, also believe he is a hero. He always makes sure everyone is being treated fairly. It is sad that the harassment got this far. Sitting in the council meetings and listening to certain people call my dad pathetic. That was the hardest thing for me to hear. In the 17 years I have been around, my dad has never let me down even once. It breaks my heart to think that our council and community have what our town and community have taught this young woman. We sure did not teach her old-fashioned values such as love thy neighbor, judge not lest you be judged, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I believe we have not let God shine through on these matters. We have let personalities shine through. I am ashamed of what this council and community have done to Mac and his family. It makes me sick that these issues have gotten us to this point. We started out with all this stuff in June of 2011, and here we are at the end of September 2011, still dealing with the same major mess. I again have with me a copy of the Code of Conduct and a copy of the Code of Ethics. The first meeting I spoke at, I asked how many of you in the council had read that. I only recall one person stating that they had, and that was Mayor Taylor. I hope you have all taken the time to read them since then. It is my opinion that the whole council has not abided by these codes and ethics. I am going to address this with specific codes and specific incidences. An elected or appointed official should be vigorously dedicated to the democratic ideas of honesty, openness, and accountability in all public matters involving city government. Ms. Hoffman, as I'm looking through all the minutes and listening to all the videos, I am upset with the lack of accountability for yourself and the honesty to all of us. Quoted directly from the St. John News, Mr. McMillan asked Hoffman if the council had asked her to go to places for information such as the auditors. Council member Hoffman replied no. McMillan stated that she was in violation, that she is a council member in meeting and a private citizen outside of the meeting. Hoffman stated that she had gone to see Vicki Dryning about the city finances and asked if McMillan had told her how far behind the city was. Hoffman asked McMillan if he thought she should have been told that the city was that far behind on bookkeeping. Billing Clerk Downing asked Hoffman if she asked the city clerk about it before talking to the auditor. Hoffman said she didn't know. Personally, when I say something and I've done something like that, I'm going to take responsibility. You pretty well knew you hadn't talked to our city clerk. You know, that was a way of skirting around this, in my opinion. You did not stand up to take responsibility for your actions. Arlen McGuire stated that no one had asked Hoffman to go to the county landfill and talk to Darren Reed, but she did that on her own. Hoffman stated that she did not. She was there and Reed talked to her. Bronson agreed with McGuire and stated that he had also talked to Reed at the county landfill, and Reed informed him of the conversation and stated that Reed said Hoffman told the council a completely different story. From the published minutes of June 22nd, Police Chief Brown informed the council that he had residents wanting to tear down houses, but the Stafford County landfill did not have room for the material, so the demolitions would have to wait. Councilmember Hoffman stated that she had spoken with Stafford County landfill and that the city would just need to contact the landfill and let them know when the city is ready to demolish. Councilmember Hoffman stated the landfill would dig a pit whenever the city was ready to start the projects. When I read this, it upsets me. I believe that you overstepped the boundaries of your office. I believe that you tried to make Doug out to be a liar. And I believe you still have not accepted any responsibility for your actions. Which brings me to another matter that I'm very curious about. The rumor mill in Stafford is always an amazing thing, and I don't believe in believing what people say. I have to research it for myself. And so therefore I'm coming and asking you personally, because you are the other party involved. I was told that there was a gentleman living here in town, and this gentleman left town because of your actions. I was told he was building a shed on his own property on skids. He had cleared this with the city and that it was okay to do this. You went and told this man that he had to stop the work, that he was not supposed to build it without a permit. The gentleman went back to the city and asked again if he could do that. Is this a fact, Ms. Hoffman?
No, that's rumor.
That's rumor.
That's not the correct way that happened.
So could you explain to us how that happened? Because my understanding is the gentleman moved to Arlington because of the harassment.
Okay, the only part I know though, just was my officer was asked if he had a building permit. That's the only part I know our department played in it.
Okay.
My knowledge, that was it.
I'd like to tell you that I've never once in my life talked to that man.
So if somebody was to talk to him, you did not go to his property and do that?
Did I, Doug?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, that's.
Because it kind of seems suspicious to me, because in the very next meeting, you stated that the city needed to require building permits to all construction, regardless of whether it is permanent or not. An elected or appointed official should be a model of decorum, respect for others, and civility in all public relations. Mr. Byer, the first meeting I attended on 6/27, I personally heard you call Matt incompetent, pathetic, and lazy. You stated he did not do his job right. I have gone back and reviewed the video numerous times. You were confronted on the issue, and to date you have not laid off a man, nor have you apologized to him. In almost every single issue of the minutes published, you are on the map about something. July the 6th, Councilmember Byer asked City Manager McMillan to have the city employees paint the fuel tanks behind the power plant. Councilmember Byer asked why the transformer in the airport was so close to the ground and requested that city employees raise the transformer. July 13th, Councilmember Byer and City Manager McMillan if the transformer at the airport had been moved and asked when he would get to the building at the airport that needs to be demolished. August 3rd, Councilmember Byer asked City Manager McMillan if he had assisted Gene Dodge in cleaning up his property. I would like to know why the whole council is not involved in these matters and why one person is asking for these things to be done. I thought as a council it was supposed to be a collective decision between all of you guys as to what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. Is that true? Then I guess I have a little problem with why Mr. Byer is allowed to attack Matt on all those problems and always want to know why they're not done when you guys as a council have not made that decision together. What right does one person have to go ask Matt to take care of those things? None, as far as I'm concerned. Ms. Hoffman, Mr. Byer is not the only one I have a problem with in this area. When the discussion took place following Mr. Byer's trespassing on Mr. Johnson's property, each council member was asked if they had anything to say. Mr. Bronson stated he did not approve of Mr. Byer's actions. Ms. Lane stated the same thing. You, Ms. Hoffman, stated, and I am directly quoting this from the paper of 9/21, you asked Carolyn Williams if she would like to give another speech about how life in Stafford should be. I can't see where that was the least appropriate or the least considerate. I see nothing in that but total disregard for the codes and ethics of this city. An elected or appointed official should perform the duties of public office with fairness and impartiality, so as to enhance public confidence in city government. Repeatedly in the papers, I see the minutes published. I have seen nothing but what I call flat bullying of Mac and our police department. I have no confidence in this council anymore. I have no confidence in the right thing being done for the good of this community. Bill Shaw asked Councilmember Byer if calling our city manager incompetent is necessary. Mr. Byer stated yes if he doesn't do what he is supposed to do. Doug Brown states, we are made to do things I don't necessarily like or believe is right, but I have to follow orders. Police Chief Brown stated that per council member Byer's request that he would have reports in the council package from municipal court. Doug Brown states he is following orders. His gut and soul tells him he is violating civil rights, but he has to do his job. I guess I'm not understanding why we're still letting Joe do that, and I'm not understanding why you as a council are not putting a stop to it. This whole council has disappointed me. Ms. Lane, Ms. Duval, and Mr. Bronson, it is my opinion that the three of you could have stopped this a long time ago. You could have spoke up on behalf of Matt, Doug, and this whole community. I believe you have allowed crimes of trespassing, slandering, bullying, and manipulating to go on for far too long. I am begging you to take a stand for all of us. I I am asking you to do the right thing. I could go on for hours with all the information I had collected, direct quotes out of papers, not the videos, but why? I feel like it falls on deaf ears. I feel that the actions of this council are not in the best interest of this community. I believe that two people on this council have their own personal agenda. I believe they will stop at nothing to get their way. I believe they have tried to run a good business out of town. The stuff at Stafford lumber irritates me every time I think of it. It was uncalled for. This business had been here for years. Carol built that business up, and that was a man I absolutely, totally respected. And for people to go saying they need to write in a citation to move stuff off of the sidewalks, really, come on. We're supposed to be bringing businesses and people in. How do you do that with that kind of behavior? I don't see it.
Anita, I need to interrupt you for just a second. Is there anybody here for delinquent hearings? It's 7:30. Okay.
The time for being nice is over. Matt has been called pathetic, incompetent, and lazy. It has been stated he doesn't do his job right. I quote what he said to you guys personally. I do not like you, Joe Byer. I do not like you, Kim Hoffman. I do not respect you. I will not work for you. I told you several days ago I wanted the name calling to stop and sneaking around to stop, and I am done. I look in the mirror. My mom always told me that for every finger you point at someone else, you have 3 coming back at you. And I see 5 people up there that I feel are not doing their job. Should we be calling you pathetic, incompetent, and lazy? I wouldn't, because I'm not that kind of a person. I have respect for my fellow human beings. I have compassion for other people's plights. I hold this whole council and whole community responsible for this total injustice inflicted on Matt, our police department, and our city employees. I'm asking you to really think about the damage that has been done here. It is my personal opinion that Mr. Byer and Ms. Hoffman should resign. If they choose not to resign, it is my opinion that we as a community need to have them removed. Enough is enough. The other 3 sitting up there, I respect you and commend you for your efforts, but I am asking you to do more. We have a huge liability on our city right now because personal issues got in the way, instead of the right thing for our community. I'm tired of the drama that all this has created. There is a black cloud looming over this community right now. I'm only one person. We need the whole community to start standing behind one another and do the right thing. God bless our community and let God's will be done.
As some of you know, I've been in the National Guard for quite a few years. And they hand out these Army value cards. We're supposed to keep them with us 24/7. And it's loyalty, duty, respect, shelterousness, honor, encouragement, and personal courage. This council has never shown me any of that stuff. And I live by this stuff. Honor, personal courage. You people make me sick. I go out and fight for this country, knowing to give you your rights to sit there as councilman. And what you do? Badmouth Jerry, badmouth Doug. Ever since I joined the National Guard in '95, if it's been 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, or a year, I come back to my dog's dead, rabbit's dead, and there's an ordinance on that. Or I found my house getting torn down. Why? Because my neighbors didn't like the way it looked, or the people I had in there. Well, whose house was it? Yours? No, it was mine. The sweat that I break to pay the bank off to get it. I didn't see nobody else come up and say, hey, I'll help you out when this day shut down. I helped Kim Hoffman out when she needed it. Did I ask her to come over? No. She come over and asked me to help her out because she had cancer and she was getting over it. But this is what I live by for 23 freaking years while I was in the Guard. Because I'd be called up anytime, to hold your rights up to do you as an American. And it really pisses me off when I come back and the ordinance and the previous council from Kirkendall to Hugh Patchen, because Joe Byers, you're acting just like Hugh Patchen did, because he did like my yard. And you're doing the exact same thing he did. Well, I look at the front door all the time. I look down that alley. No one told me to look down that alley. If we had junk vehicles in our yard, it's for a freaking reason. We don't have $50,000 in our bank account to go out and get a new radiator, new alternator. We have 5 vehicles stuck in our property in places that we don't know of. When this council comes up and gives me a brand new freaking car, yeah, I'll do it. But until then, my property's my property. And if I have no trespass sign on there, that's what I mean, no trespassing. But it doesn't give you the guys the right and gals to come up here and say, well, I'm going to go on somebody's property just for the hell of it. No, you're a councilman first, then citizen. But when you leave that door, you're just a citizen like anybody else. 23 years I spent in the Guard, in the United States Army. And every time I come back from deployment, Guard, your life, your way of life. And I find out someone wants to tear somebody down, something down. No, that's pathetic. Real pathetic. You don't have the values that I live with. You never will. I got more honor, more selfishness, more courage than you have in your baby toe. And it makes me sick to even look at you people, knowing that you're tearing this town apart by doing your little penny any bullshit. You disgust me.
Rowena?
I know it's been another long evening, and it's rough on you guys, I understand that. And Ally, first of all, I am going to apologize to you because I know I was pretty intense after the last meeting, and I do apologize for the way it kind of ended. I know you all do have a hard job. One of the things that it takes to do the job, and I will get to my questions, because actually I want to deal with something that you said last time, Kim, that is important. It shouldn't be skipped over, but I want to get the full answers to it first. But I want to say that first. In order to serve in public office, I know we've heard what people had to say. One of the most needed traits, and not everybody has it, is the trait to be able to see the picture from all sides so that you can find the best approach for the largest number of people. Because when you are serving in public office, you have to serve the largest number of people. And I do think that for the most part, I think you guys start with that idea and attitude. Todd, I appreciate that you have that. I truly do. I see it in you. Mr. Byer, I think that it is one of the characteristics that you struggle with. And I don't know that you're ever going to be able to get it because either you have it or you don't. But it truly is something that it takes to do this job. And I think that the whole time you serve, it's going to be difficult without that trait. So I do ask you to think seriously about how you want, if you're willing to continue to serve with that difficulty, or if you're willing to think about whether this is the best thing for you to do. I'm only asking you to think about it because it is a hard job to do, and that is a trait you need to do it. And I don't know that you can learn that trait. Either you have it or you don't. And if you don't, it makes it harder to do the job. Now, Kim, you made a statement. You said that we were behind in financials. So right now, I want to ask Jessica some questions. Jessica, when she came on as a council member, were the books being reconciled every month?
No.
They were not being reconciled. How was it being handled? What was specifically going on?
I have been catching up the books since I started. I've been working on them every spare chance I get to get them caught up to where they need to be. Everything's
When you,
done.
okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Everything's done in banking that needs to be done. It's entering it into our software.
Okay, so it's not that you didn't have the bank statements current and the bills paid and the money coming in. You're talking about putting information into a new software program, is that correct?
It's not new to me. It's new to the auditors.
It's, okay, we have new auditors, correct?
Yes, we do have new auditors.
Okay, and so with new auditors, we've gone to a system that's familiar to you, but different than what was being done here before. So it's not that we were completely behind as a city financially in the management of the city in taking care of the imminent bills and the imminent money coming in. Am I understanding that correctly?
I was behind in showing a piece of paper that said everything matches. There's a banking side, there's a budgetary side.
Right.
Everything's done in banking, you gotta make the budgetary side match. When I was alone in the office by myself, I had Dina helping me. We struggled to do a job with somebody else's we had no clue to do, and it's a lot more important to get utility bills out than to get those done.
Okay.
Can I say something just a second?
Yeah.
This goes back before Jessica, even the reconciliation was hard to keep up with, and that was an issue with maybe we needed another person in the office. This has been an ongoing thing for quite some time. And after Jessica started, then our auditor, and correct me if I'm wrong, those of you that remember, the old firm that we had that was auditing the books, did their yearly audit and then informed us that they were scaling back, they would no longer take care of our city.
Mhm.
And Dawn informed us of the current company that we're using because St. John had had really good luck with them. We knew that it would cost us some money to change, to change over with them. They would have to learn our system, and then other incidental things that happened. We had some employees leave. There was a point where she was by herself, and you got to get the bills out. So it's not. It's been an ongoing challenge.
And I understand. I actually asked Jessica, and I asked her not to bring it up, but I wanted to do it. Part of my point is, Kim, because I've actually heard people in the community saying all sorts of things about how behind we were and everything was going so bad. And this was said to me in the pizza parlor last Friday. What I'm saying is, you asked why Mac was angry or hostile towards you. If you don't do it in this setting and you go outside of the setting gathering information instead of asking the auditors to be here and to be with these guys so that the problem can be discussed fully here and be dealt with here, it creates a hostile situation. I understand you're saying you didn't have full information, but here's where you need to get it. Now, Jessica, where are you on getting everything into that system to work with so that what the auditors want and what you need to provide them on a monthly basis is? Where are you? Because I understand you've been doing it after hours because of all of the things, the issues that have been going on over the last several months. Your time is being inundated with many odd things. And then on weekends. So where do you stand right now?
August 2011, it's done.
So
It's all caught up.
you're caught up. We owe her an outstanding ovation. You've got to give them a chance, and you got to work with them. When you're going outside of everything and creating the hostility, it doesn't help us. I said again, the characteristic in doing this, and I know it's not an easy job, and I'm not saying that I absolutely have that characteristic. I don't know if I do because I haven't really served that. But you have to look at all the pictures and ask the questions and try to help find solutions. You said you didn't understand why he was angry. There is a definite hostility right now going on, and I'm asking you to rethink how you do things so that that doesn't keep happening. If you want to continue to serve, fine. But you have a part to play in helping that process grow, but you've got to work within part of this system.
Alina, I would like to say something about going to see the auditors. I've been on the council for several months, and nobody ever told us we were behind. And when I went to the auditor, she told me that they just got done reconciling February's bank statements, and that they had done that month and the prior 14 months before that.
I think we need to have the council talk to the auditors because I believe that you are entirely incorrect on that.
But you're
That's what
missing.
she told me.
No, that is not what she told me because I've been talking to her about your conversations.
And Kim, you're missing the point. The point is, come to this meeting, bring the auditor to this meeting so that Jessica and Matt and all the council can fully participate in the problem and be solved. When you step outside of that, you actually create part of the animosity that we're talking about. And I'm sorry, but I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. I know you were looking for answers. Do it in the right way. Do it in the process. This is the process. That's what everybody here needs. That's what Mr. Taylor needs. That's what Don Knappenberger needs. He needs you to figure out how you do it in the process.
Follow your chain of command.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Allison. I do thank you, Kim. I'm still going to say what I feel about how we can make all this better, and we are all accountable. And you are accountable for part of the way some of these people feel. So just accept that. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe Byer. Thank you, Dennis.
We have been kicking around the issue of, and again, this goes back before new council members, kicking around the issue of some new equipment for our park, for parks. And Dina had given me some information today. What we've seen in the past has been, $20,000 plus for some nice park equipment. And Dina had found some for $13,209. And the auditor had said that we had, what is it, Jessica?
It's not what she said we have, it's the fact that she said we need to
We need
spend
to
it.
use it
We get that money
because-
from the state and we need to spend it.
Right, and it's like $7,000.
It's like $7,000 or $8,000 in special funds.
Okay. And then we have enough to pay for the whole thing, and I would just like the council to consider it and decide on it at the next meeting. And you guys can look at this. We can make copies of it for you or whatever. We don't have to decide tonight, but the money is there. Dina, a lot of our equipment is pretty rough.
Yeah, we haven't had anything added to the parks since New Lambda did the playground set down at the swimming pool park in memory of the Turner boy. It's a positive move forward for the community. Let's encourage families. Let's do something positive. Let's start over. Most of the equipment I've looked at is $20,000 plus, and that's not for near the unit we have the picture of, and it is on a timed sale. It is a closeout for this year, so it is on a sale price at that. I think it has the regular price on it.
It's like $7,000.
It's like $7,000 off.
Is this going to go in both parks?
Personally, I would like to see it put in the East Park because that's where I see most families. The ages on this is 5 to 12, which includes a group of kids that we have in the park quite a bit that doesn't have a lot to do besides run across the picnic tables and hang out and smile and things like that. But I think it's colored for nature, so it's not going to be a drastic change to the nature of the park, the East Park. And there's plenty of room for it on the very northwest corner. I just feel like the last thing that was added to the swimming pool park. Mm-hmm. And I would like to see something go on the East Park. We actually have less equipment there now than we had when I grew up in Stafford.
Okay. The sale ends December 16th. So if we could think about this and make a decision at the next meeting. You guys can.
And it is from an equipment company, so it is commercial, so it is zoned for commercial use, which is a big to-do with the insurance.
Well, go ahead.
And you're not talking about replacing anything, basically just...
No, let's add something. We do have a couple of horses missing at the park, but it's due to the age in front of the stage because we can't find the brackets. unless somebody becomes very creative and figures out the brackets that were broke to put them back in. There's a chance we could find the spring-type mechanism that goes under them, but those are missing. But when you consider what we have there, we have swings, a slide, a merry-go-round, and a stagecoach to climb on. And like I said, this involves an older set of kids. I think it has a climbing wall on it and items such as that. I just think it would be something really good and positive for the community.
This one, the X, is that the one you're thinking about?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. There are other ones in there. I'm not prone to any specific one. I know I've heard a lot of people say that they like that park with the trees and the nature. This one is a camouflage type piece of equipment that'll blend in and won't be a stark adjustment to anybody in that corner. And there are lights in that park so the kids can play until dark.
Anything else regarding park equipment? Okay, I had come across some information from Claire Moore, and we're just talking about this, so please don't be upset. This is it's information from the Department of Revenue with the state of Kansas, and they can take numbers from the state and project the revenue that we would receive for different